So Joe Biden has a problem with the press. At least that's what I'm reading in the news these days. Old Joe has gone off on rants in the last few days, complaining about the lack of coverage that he gets or the skewed coverage he gets. He's complaining about Donald Trump getting all the attention and nobody paying attention to him. So I've got a lot to say about this, and it goes back to things I've told you before. Number one, and this is most important, is that the idea of a professional press, that meaning objectivity in reporting, goes back to World War I and the Creel Committee, and especially two members on that committee, Walter Lippmann and Edward Bernays. These two guys worked together to craft out an idea that would create a sterile environment in which to sell advertising. In Bernays' case, it was to sell ideas, and he was very good at it. So the idea that we have an objective press and that they should play by the rules of 100 years ago is ridiculous. We are the media today. So Joe Biden's problem isn't with the press, his problem is with us. We can sniff out propaganda, which is what the spin of political parties is. It's propaganda designed to make you dependent on them. And the Democrats, let's face it, Joe Biden doesn't run anything. This is the Democratic National Committee and people who have certain points of view. Democrats have always, had this coalition that they try to protect, and that coalition is all special interests. Special interests who've gotten where they are through social movements, institutions, and their own version, if you will, of the press. So when the President of the United States goes after the press, he's really going after us, you and me, because again, individuals, we all in the great horizontal function as media companies, and we are all media companies. Let me give you an example. I don't turn to CNN, Fox News, or any of the mainstream outlets to get coverage of what's going on with Trump's trial. I just listen to this obscure guy on YouTube who attends every session of the trial and comes out and gives us reports about what's going on throughout the day. That is something I would rather read or listen to than anybody, pretending to be an objective press. David Weinberger, author of Everything is Miscellaneous, and that's a wonderful book to read. He writes that transparency is the new objectivity in the horizontal world. You have to be open, not afraid to express your biases. So all these mainstream media companies are doing is trying to, create the illusion that they are, and Jay Rosen uses this word a lot of time, that they are savvy. Talk about hyperbole. Our reporters are savvy. Bullshit. They have sources, and sources, they're all biased. Even, go back to Watergate. Deep Throat, the key secret giver to Woodward and Bernstein, he was the second in command of the FBI. He most certainly had an axe to grind, but you don't see that in any of the glory given to Woodward and Bernstein. And if you go back, you look at trust in the media, it's all gone downhill since Watergate. Why? Because we were fed a biased line from somebody. Now, I have no love lost for Richard Nixon, that's for sure. I mean, the guy made a deal with the South Vietnamese government to not end the war before his reelection campaign. And this is the kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in all these rooms, these smoke-filled rooms with politicians deciding the fate of you and me. And that's straight out of, the Public Opinion by Walter Lippmann, and, the books by Edward Bernays, especially Propaganda. So all of this is what we've been dealing with as helpless members of a top-down culture until the innovation of the internet. Now, let me tell you, where we're going is not back to the way it was. So when I hear Joe Biden expressing his disappointment and, telling people that, it's hard to get through to the American people that we do good things. Come on, that's because we don't believe you. We don't believe you. So come on, complaining about the press may have worked in days gone by. Remember Spiro Agnew's great 1969 speech in which he, took all of the press to task, because he couldn't manipulate people via the press. So, but we've come light years since 1969, and, we are the media. We are, free to choose for our own selves what we wish to believe, and it is not going to be propaganda done the old way. So, Joe, stop it. Open the eyes of your understanding and see how to communicate with people in the great horizontal. And it's not going to be with, tainted language. And let me, conclude this by saying that the fact that Joe Biden doesn't do press conferences is a big giveaway, because he doesn't want people talking about the things that, people are complaining about. My God, the man is 82 years old. Do we really need, senility in the White House? Come on. I don't like Trump and I don't like Joe Biden, and I'm praying to God that Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana can somehow get involved, because that's a guy I like. He's a conservative Southerner, and very different than these, conservatives from the Christian nationalist movement. Anyway, that's a rant. I apologize for it, and I have to say that I could be wrong. After all, I'm just a commentary.